In case anybody else wants to share, I'm going to have multiple sharing options here.
GPS signal lost.
Okay, I'm going to kill this phone here. I'm just going to kill it. I don't know how to. Okay.
Are you trying to share?
I'm just going to share myself. Okay. 1%.
So you see that green thing? Yeah, just hit that.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right, we're back, Dave. Floor is yours. Start us off.
Okay, as I understand it, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to start now. As I understand it, today's objective is to go through this deck and get a acceptance of it or discuss where it needs to be different. So the goals for today would be to essentially sign off in this deck as a description of the program and to get a committed start date. What is the day that we can start to bring students and mentors into the building? There are going to be some specific things as we go through it, like identifying particular businesses and so on, that maybe we can touch on today with a particular goal of saying who will own that action item or agreeing or disagreeing that that's the appropriate next step. So that would be another goal, is to be declare and be committed to next steps.
Okay, I think that's we're in agreement there. I want to make a brief introduction because the person who's going to present the deck is new to Jordan. His name is John. John, say hello, I think, to everybody on the Zoom. We've got 4 people. And John, do a brief introduction because it's so important for me to describe how we met. And I'll do that with Jordan at a later date. But this gentleman here was part of a attempt to bring our students into corporate called Audio 101, to start a student-generated radio station and podcast that was going to teach them the business of digital internet radio, but literally provide for them an opportunity to give the corporate a focus group and information on how young people saw and heard audio. And so we bring John here today to kind of make sure that we provide a management level of understanding how the business and how the industry works, so that there can be some workflow to everything that we do. So John helped to put this deck together. And without further ado, John, do you want to say anything before?
Yeah, I mean, the objective was to give a real insight as to how a career could happen in broadcast media, and give them, a real day-to-day opportunity to see how that would work as an employment opportunity. People just, the more disengaged they are with certain things, or as technology changes, you're not always as aware of what's available. So we really wanted to make, showcase how they could look at audio and video and digital media as a real career opportunity. And that's how this all kind of started.
Perfect. All right.
Okay, great. Okay, so here's the content goals here. All right. So, John, do you want to sit here so that
No, I'm good. I have
Yeah, we can see under on
Okay.
yeah. So,
GPS signal lost.
Jordan, this was actually built for you specifically because we wanted to make sure that we were addressing the specific needs that you had in your role. And, at the end of the day, really help you achieve your goals in a more direct and easier way, and also provide, all the access that the program has been built to provide to students through the university system.
Okay.
And also to make sure that we were, delivering on our promise to, deliver a curriculum for students that they could really learn something from, that there was a day-to-day hands-on opportunity for them to actually see what it looks like. There was some shadowing opportunities, there was mentoring going on, and that there would be literally a project to work on, so that at the end of the course of study, there would be something that was usable that a business of your choosing would be able to take advantage of and use as a real marketing tool.
Okay, great. So
So
you give them some experience and give them some things to put on their resume so that they're more,
job ready.
yeah, job ready. That's exactly the term I was looking for.
And make them prepared for entering the workforce.
That's right.
And giving them a better level of an opportunity to be more competitive on
Yep.
a higher level.
Yeah. Have more confidence and have more competence and all those things when they're entering the workforce. So yeah, that's great.
Okay, great.
So that would also give them an opportunity to interview with some media companies in Southern California.
Okay.
So as part of this, we would ask, some of the partners that we're working with, advertising agencies, media companies like iHeart and Entercom, ad agencies like Verizon Media and J. Walter Thompson to help us.
And the one thing I would say is, and I don't know if you all already have a model of partners for this program, but I would like to work more closely with you on who those partners are. And the
Sure.
reason why is because, we're the largest firm and we bank most of Hollywood, like something like 80% of Hollywood on a corporate level. So the studios themselves. So one of the things that I've been talking to our head of entertainment bank about, and some of you have heard this before, is careers for creatives and how, we could, as Hollywood is looking to kind of reinvest in the community, we could position careers as one of the best ways of that reinvestment, especially since South Central is in their backyard. So I would love to partner with you on if maybe there are some corporate clients of ours who want to be involved in this sort of work, who we could partner with. And then also, some of our ad agencies like, Montgomery. Anyways, some of these,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of them. Some of those agencies
You
as
guys have a
well.
long list.
Yeah. We would love to shop some of them as well and see if through partnership with them and the money that we're already spending with them or they're spending with us, we could, integrate this in that partnership.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
And
And
we wanted to get their involvement because we want them to help us in providing, curriculum, because they're disappointed with what they're seeing from, a candidate perspective.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And so we
100%.
want to tell us, some of the things that you're looking for. Maybe there's a way for us to integrate some of that into
I
the
love that.
curriculum
Yeah.
so that they're super prepared
Uh-huh.
and that we can provide them a funnel of students.
There we go. Yeah, we
that
can create a
candidates that
pipeline
are-
for them. Yep.
Exactly.
I love it. I love
And
it.
that gives them an incentive to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
We can't guarantee people a job, but we can guarantee them an interview opportunity.
Opportunities. Exactly correct.
And part of the training would be helping them in a interview situation. So we'd role play interview scenarios with them, to make sure that they're really prepared. And they would be coming in, interviewing based on the fact that they are part of a program that, gives them a little bit of a, hopefully heads up, a leg up.
100%.
All right, next slide.
Hey, did we cut somebody off? I thought I heard somebody on
Yeah,
the.
Charlotte was.
Oh,
gonna say
sure. Charlotte.
you know what? You guys actually hit all the points I was going to say, providing a pipeline of talent for these partners, as well as really preparing the students for their interviews. You guys nailed it. It's exactly what I was going to say. So
Good.
good job.
It's good to be on the same page. Yay.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And before, and yeah, 'cause I know we're on a time constraint, I want to introduce a new participant in our build out of this program. Sam, he's actually driving. Sam, can you introduce yourself to Jordan? Just give a
Yes, I can.
seconds.
Yes. Yeah. Apologize for not being on the screen. I'm in Malibu driving. I work at an organic farm here in Malibu. I'm on my way to hang out with some chickens, cats, and goats on the farm. But yes, my name is Sam Golzari. I met Kevin late last year. I'm a MFA student at CSUN in screenwriting, and I was part of a competition where I was pitching a show idea that I've been working on and been very passionate about. And I got past, the several rounds. And when we got to the top 10, I was matched up very fortunately with Kevin. He was my mentor during the project. And beyond just that specific project, Kevin has just been invested and an ally since then. And Just knowing Kevin as a person, the care he has for the people that he invests in is a very special person. I appreciate that. My history is I've worked as an actor for years. I've done film work, TV work. I've been in the theater. I've worked at the LA Theater Center. I'm now focusing on my writing, and also I'm teaching at the moment at CSUN as a TA. So I'm working with students, teaching them the fundamentals of story. And for me, I feel like the most valuable thing, as well as getting them ready for the interview and for going into that world, is also that self-confidence and the feeling that they have a story to tell, that their stories are valuable. I think that is such a key and valuable thing that you are bringing, as well as an opportunity for work, but also an opportunity for personal growth and confidence. I think that's very exciting. So thank you for having me here in the meeting, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Just a little context, again, when we talk about pipeline, community colleges have been, near and dear to all of our hearts, because we truly believe that they're as underrepresented, undervalued, as well as under the radar screen talent. We also want to include the four-year universities, the Cal State universities, which is a public institution. And we think that there's a true opportunity to provide an articulation and an alignment between the high schools, community colleges, all the way to four-year university. And so therefore, when we talk about putting together the pipeline, we truly believe in collaboration between the institutions, so that we actually have a way for us to make sure that we look at best practices of making sure that all people concerned are able to take a look at the success, or even the things we learn about this program, to introduce to their institutions.
Hey, so quick question on the students, and we could deal with this maybe later on in planning, because I know we want to kind of get to some key objectives today, but just real quickly on these students, and Charlotte and Sam, you all being in the education system may know better. How are we deciding on those 20 students? Like, how exactly are we determining like who they are?
Well, it's a good point, and I think it's open for discussion, but I truly believe that based on the objective, the business that we have, we then will recruit. And our recruitment process is to have the students submit themselves for qualification for the opportunity through an essay. We have an application, and the application is something we'd like to share with you, so that you could actually figure out what things that we want to put in that application to select the right archetype of the person that could actually take advantage of this opportunity.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking is two things. Number one, if we're talking about like equitable access to these opportunities, I love the idea of, doing something with the community colleges, maybe being more deliberate about looking at folks who are moving from the community colleges to these four-year universities, or may just be straight up in these four-year universities. I know that we have some closer ties to the Cal State system, but I also think about, just where we are on Crenshaw. If we could be more deliberate about, maybe students who are from the area, or kind of have some sort of like proximate, affinity to the area in some way, shape, or form. Maybe those who came from local community colleges, or came from local high schools or magnet schools or whatever. I don't know if we have any access to anybody at USC, or if that would not even be, a demographic we want to focus on. But I just think about, especially for our first go at this, how we can not make this too broad about Los Angeles at large, or Southern California at large, but rather kind of keep it focused on that stretch between kind of Hollywood and LA, if you will, or I'm sorry, or South LA. South LA is what I meant to say.
Well, yeah, there's a narrative here that I believe is at play, that we'd like to try and make sure that the outcome is something that's compelling to not only the objectives that you guys have, but to something that would actually be able to scale and build on the opportunity to connect with people like tech. That might be okay. Terrence. Yeah. So Eric Elder, who is not with us today, actually he's going to be joining us. We have some organizations who are invested in Crenshaw, Inglewood, Compton, who we think we can draw on.
Yeah,
but we'd like to be able
we can source from.
Yeah, and so this is important. If this is important to you, we'd like to make sure that the 20 students that we bring into this first cohort really do look like
Yeah,
the people you want to invest in.
Yeah, oh yeah, and tell the story. Look, I'm happy to expand it, right? Like any program that we have here, it always gets bigger and better if it's a success. But I think that storytelling, and you all, this is exactly what we're talking about. But I think that storytelling is definitely powerful, especially when we're trying to garner support for this in the future. And the more compelling we can make it, the more emotionally impactful we can make it, I think the better. And I think that there's no time like right now in South LA where, we could tell a great story. So just thinking ahead.
And I just want to remind you, we have 19 colleges in Los Angeles. Many of them are in the inner city and could absolutely use this opportunity to change their path.
Yes, and also
Trade
and
tech,
to your
Southwest.
point about inner city, also like East LA is something I'm happy to look at. But yes, when I say South LA, I guess I'm using it kind of broadly, but
I understand.
inner city at large, You get
Right.
the idea. Yep.
Right.
But yeah, there's a ton of
Right.
talent in East LA. There's a ton of talent all the way out to Long Beach. I mean, I don't know how willing they would be to commute if we were to have events specifically here at this location. But I'll take anybody who is part of the equity story, I guess. Thanks for that clarification, Charlotte.
Right, right. And so with that said, one of the concerns I have if they're having to get to your location is many of them don't have the funding or accessibility to get there. So we have to make sure that if those 20 that we take, we provide them with either the opportunity to do this event virtually or bus fare, a bus pass, or something of that nature, so that they can continue on with this program.
Yeah, so the virtual piece is definitely easy, but if it requires some sort of like a transportation stipend, we would do that probably through like Dakar, or I don't know how we run that, but yeah, that's definitely something we could talk about.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So I want to keep flipping through. We got a couple more slides here. So, we absolutely do have an interest in taking the curriculum that the students are learning already at the community college level, where they get course credits. And what I've learned in my work with the community college students is that their ability to stay connected to their courses are so important because it's tied to their financial aid. And if they're not getting their courses met and they're not getting the grades, they don't get the financial aid. So in order to really provide an overlay of things to them, we have to extend what they learn in the classroom to things that we could actually make a real world application of things that they could learn to something like servicing a business that you would suggest.
Okay,
So those
I have a concern. I'm reading right here, 3 college credits upon successful completion of the course. Have you got this approved through each of the colleges that you are wanting to work with?
And let me tell you where this came from. This came from Cal State University. This is 3 units of internship credits from the California State University system. So this would be applicable to anybody in the community college or California State University system. So with their involvement in the program, this is what we're looking for from them. We haven't gotten approval from, or we haven't got the input yet from Santa Monica College, but that's what we've been discussing is internship credits from them also.
Okay.
That seems like quite a lift. Is that what, Charlotte? Is that hard? Is that easy?
Process. It's a very big process. So a lot of times going with non-credit, but they're getting the experience is a much better and faster process. But maybe Santa Monica can pull some strings, but then that is Santa Monica. That is not the demographic we were talking about, right?
Right. Well, and inside of Santa Monica, I worked with 13 Santa Monica students last year that were kind of handpicked from the digital media instruction. And all of them were African-American and Latino, but all of them had challenges because of COVID. Obviously it was all virtual, but the internship credit is what we're really offering these people. Working through Dakar, they get the 3 units of internship unit, 2 units, or 1 unit of credit from working with Dakar. So it's internship credit even from the community college system. And we're working with Anne-Marie Lehigh over there at the Santa Monica, who would customize that experience and the outcomes. Okay. All right, we're gonna keep clicking through here.
So I'm sorry. So I just real quickly. So, and I guess it's not really my wheelhouse. So I'll let you all decide on how you want to proceed there. So, are we going to go without the credits, or we're going to try to push credits through this somehow?
I believe on the table are credits.
Okay.
And again, it starts with the timeline of making sure we identify the 20 students, identify what the outcome is going to be through the internship experience.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously, the buy-in so that this really can become duplicatable or scalable is what we're looking for.
Yeah, but I think to Charlotte's point is that if we're not there yet, then I think we should just, as we continue these discussions, especially as we expand the team on the inside who are going to get exposure to this, market it as a unaccredited thing that's just kind of based on experience for right now until we're ready to kind of cross that bridge with that accreditation, because that's going to be
One less barrier.
Yeah, exactly correct. Yeah, and also one less expectation. If we're not ready to deliver on it, I don't want to hold up the whole program just because we can't get through that accreditation. Because to Charlotte's point, I am not an educator, but I've seen folks go through accreditation processes before, and it's a serious lift.
Great. And the way that I look at the evolution of this is that this semester is still more on-ramp, onboarding.
Yeah. It's a test and learn. It's a
the
test and
spring
learn.
semester, and then even through the winter break is where we're going to really start to look at the outcome.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
So it would be our pilot.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. Sorry to interrupt. Student selection. Oh yeah.
So we've kind of covered this. We've talked about the student selection and how that might work. We also talked about making sure that they have the right aptitude and attitude for this. Even looking at some very inexpensive testing to see where their skill sets really kind of lie, so that we have a really great cross section of students. Because for this campaign and course, it's really about, it's more than just creative. It's the creative side of it is the business side of it. You want to, and there are students that have, aptitude for all those different things. So we just want to make sure that we're covering, all the appropriate topics to make them well-rounded, just so that they have a good understanding of, how the collaboration of that business operates. Okay, that makes sense.
100%.
Also, through the course, there'd be performance markers. So, for the different modules that we would have, there would be, mini tests and quizzes. There'd be
Like
video applications
checkpoints and stuff.
Yeah, to make sure that they're really absorbing the information, and to get feedback from them as we go on, because this is going to evolve into a different program, as it develops. So we just are looking for, obviously, as I said, performance markers, but also, from the course itself, how it's being, what the appetite is.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh, I just can't.
And then, so here's a breakdown of the different, management partners on this program, and
How do you minimize
what
the
some
window
of
on this?
the what some of the asks and responsibilities would be.
Oh, boy.
So for JP Morgan Chase, we'd be looking at financial participation, facility usage, and then some additional financial resources as we look at, putting all the pieces of the plan together to see where we are on a budgeting perspective. Okay. From our education partners, obviously students, how to build the course credit approval, and counseling for the students as they're going through the program. We also be looking at, again, qualified students want to be able to provide transportation and the equipment and tools and resources that they would need to actually execute the requests of the campaigns that they're developing. And then Dakar would be responsible for total project management, the student supervision, the partnership, coordination to make sure communication is happening on a timely basis, that there's performance metrics that are being shared with everyone, updates are happening so that there would be access to see what and how the course is flowing, and just to be totally transparent and open to make sure that we're being, responsible to provide the best program, learning as we go along, and implementing the right tools and resources to make it really seamless. Okay.
And it's going to be a leave behind, so you can kind of.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And we didn't put an anthology of all the things we've done or going to, kind of bake into this thing, but we have a more expansive deck. So how do we get here? Let me see.
So Kevin, you want to hit this?
Okay, yeah, so large part of my exposure for the students has been through a curriculum I call conference as curriculum. So I have field trips that I would take these students, and obviously because of the pandemic, most of the conferences that have been these inside industry events and conferences in digital media, whether it be social media, virtual, all of the different areas that we think are growth areas that we want to expose these students to that they would not necessarily get in a classroom environment. This is how we give them a chance to understand inside baseball. And so I've been doing a series of things to make them almost journalists, where they get a press credential. They then get an opportunity to not only attend, but they get a chance to interview some of the keynote speakers and some of the players, but also learn how to plan, produce, and execute a conference and an event. And so we call it When Worlds Collide. So the series of activities we've done, and I've got curated everything so that you can see all these events. And they culminate for me as things that I would like to eventually have these students understand how to produce, plan, and present something supported by JP Morgan Chase as an event that they can present to their peers.
Okay.
So you'd have 20 students producing one group to many so that they could actually share with other students, other classrooms, how inside baseball could be exposed to them in a way where they could digest parts of it through a student lens.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's again an anthology of things that we've done, and I think most of them have been probably recorded with a student crew, maybe no more than about an hour.
Do you have any examples of
Sure.
that work? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got another deck with video embedded in the deck, so you can see.
Maybe you've sent me a link before, but
Yeah.
we
Well,
just-
and I'll give you an example. One of the conferences is coming up, and it's still not. I'm not sure how they're going to execute it. Mobile World Congress, which is everything 5G.
MWC, yep.
Yeah. So MWC is at the LA Convention Center, and they're planning on doing it physically. And I have passes as long as I can get socialized with all the instructors. I have passes where I can get all the students free introduction or free passes into Mobile World Congress. But I don't want them to just show up willy-nilly. I want them to be able to come as journalists, interviewing people. So we would go through the process of making sure that we're cleared as journalists. And then we'd have the opportunity to get the press credentials and we'd be interviewing these people. So now they not only learn how to interview people, but they learn how to present and introduce themselves to these people so that they understand, this is a professional environment. And they have a chance to understand what it's like to possibly even be remembered by people who are market makers and gatekeepers in the industry.
Okay.
So we've done a series of all these kinds of things so that they get the exercise of being able to understand how the industry works.
Okay.
I have a comment. I think we need to outline what the curriculum will look like, or module-based weekly events. And that will help determine the group we're going for. Going and interviewing people and learning how to write, they all need that. But if we're focusing on digital media, which it sounds like we are, then we need to have a solid curriculum and module based of what they're doing, and then have them test out on that. This is completely different what you just mentioned from what we had talked about. And in order for me to be behind it, I have to ensure that we have a solid agenda, if you will, that these students will be following. And some of these options are awesome for them. But remember, again, they have to get there, and there's all kinds of issues. By the time we kick this off, we'll be in the holiday season, most likely, and most of them will be working. So we need to just keep that in mind as we push this out.
Well, luckily, most of the conferences are still virtual right now. One of the big ones we had planned on attending virtually just got canceled. The National Association of Broadcasters in Vegas, they just canceled the whole thing. Not even because it was going to be physical. So through COVID, there's a lot more opportunity for students to be able to get access to these conferences. But the barrier has been cost. These events cost a lot of money. I get them press credentials and they get their access through me. So that's really what it is. For those students who are really interested in learning how the industry is working, this is just another opportunity for those advanced students to be able to look at, this is an opportunity to look at things that are changing and evolving daily.
And, you know, I think the big, the big opportunity here is in having the students working on a media campaign for a business, a small business here in your area.
Okay.
And so that would be, that would be an ongoing project along with the course curriculum so that it matches up with what they're learning to the elements and assets that could be available for a marketing.
And is that what you just said? Is that brown bag TV, or is
So
okay?
here's the evolution, and we're not ready for brown bag TV yet. But brown bag TV, and Dave Cohen's been working with me to get this thing prepared to have students who are probably going to be alumni. They're not going to be students because the challenge of getting brown bag TV is an operational product is to get people staffed, coordinated to deliver the news. Because brown bag TV is really news. It's really information that's going to be shared peer to peer.
Okay. So so then help me understand like the business advertisement piece or the business digital, product piece.
The idea is, again, what's the outcome of this and what can everyone see as, this has been completed and now we have something to look at. In addition to, potential college or potential credit for it, there is a real campaign that's been developed and that a business, has been involved in the creation of it. So we want to talk to you about addressing or finding businesses that you're working with that may be good candidates for this. And we should talk about what those standards and what the different criteria is for those businesses. But working with a student group that would be overmanaged with, somebody, from a mentor perspective, somebody from the ad agency or ad community to help guide the direction of a campaign that would address the needs of a specific business in Southern California.
Yeah, so I love that. I love that idea, and I think that's a great way, and maybe that is part of their, I don't know if I would use the word graduate, but they're part of their capstone, or God knows how we can do it. But I think that's a really, really great idea because that marries well to outside of the jobs and skills piece that I think this whole campaign is focused on. Minority entrepreneurial expansion is a big thing for us. And one of the biggest challenges in that space, especially for legacy, minority owned businesses, veteran, women, Black, brown owned businesses is keeping up with the digital aspect of their business, how they market digitally, how they sell digitally in the digital marketplace, how they connect with customers. I mean, you name it from
changes really quickly.
Overnight. Yeah. What platform you need to be on changes overnight. So I think that something like that, especially if it's like evergreen products that we can create for a company, let's say for, maybe it's good for 5 years or whatever.
Right.
I think that could be a great marriage. And also, there's a lot of programs that are doing that right now, but they either cost a lot of money or they really don't have any capacity. And if we have, I don't know if it'd be all 20 students, but let's say even 10 students who can be aligned to, 5 to 10 businesses, I think that could be great.
Yeah, and it's something valuable, again, that they can bring into like an interview process.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my resume. Yeah,
this
you
is
come
part
in.
of what I do.
Yeah.
And, that kind of like real time, real experience, making a presentation to a business, interacting with the business, on a, over a course of several weeks to build that program with the client, would require the business to be involved as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and we have a business mentor program. So we have minority consultants who focus solely on the technical side of minority-owned businesses.
Right.
So, but anything technical. So yeah, we already have those relationships. We can marriage those up very easily. And then, what I'll be willing to do on my side as well, especially if maybe we can even get a quick little mock-up of what one of these would look like, or what a relationship would look like here between one of these students or your program and these minority businesses is I can potentially see if I can get Chase to agree to allow them to brand it Chase for Business, or sponsored by Chase, or allow the student to say, hey, I did a campaign for Chase.
It'd be a
for
great,
business.
be a great story.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the story we're looking for. As a matter of fact, we were mentioning one of your partners here, is that it would be nice if we understood the process for a student or a student agency to become a potential vendor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Potential.
And that's another thing we can discuss. Yeah.
So
And these students, we can talk to them as part of that financial piece. If we are talking to them, especially about being independent, we can talk to them about being certified as a minority supplier by the time they're done with this program. So they'll come out ready to take on work.
we will have those options.
That's super valuable.
Yeah.
And
The idea today was, to go through this with you, to really, anchor your interest, and then refine the program and create a curriculum that makes sense to, add the, specifics and to define it in a much more specific way, and look at what it's going to take to, approve that curriculum, and then, make it available.
Charlotte, were you sharing something? Oh, I think she's talking something. Okay. Yeah, I do. My just the last thought here is I do think we need to narrow down what we want to focus on, get very specific on, and I don't know if you have it in here, but I do want to get very specific about, what exactly we want to move forward with. And I'm going to leave that up to you based on our conversation today. But, I think we got a good idea. And then I want to start pulling in my team to this. So a couple of the folks from my team who all, want us to be prepared to talk to is Advancing Black Pathways, who you mentioned there. So now are you already connected with them? I'm not sure. With Advancing Black Pathways.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
This is our wish list.
Okay.
This is kind of, in a perfect world, we would like to be able to present to you some things we've researched.
Yeah. So
ask.
so I'll tell you right now, when we do go to Advancing Black Pathways, we definitely want to make sure that we're very specific about how this ties to the objectives of Advancing Black Pathways. One of them is the jobs and skills. One of them is, business entrepreneurialism, whatever. So the other thing to know about them is that they do not like design competitions. They hate design competitions. So whatever we do, avoid, anything. If it seems like it's a competition and it's not just equitable access, they don't want to do it.
Okay.
They don't like there being a winner and a loser in any of this work. So I'm not saying I saw that anywhere in the presentation, but keep that in mind, and let's try to, if you want to kind of present it as I don't know if it'd be an internship, a scholarship, I don't know what, but just a heads up about Advancing Black Pathways.
Okay.
Another thing that I'll need in support to going to Advancing Black Pathways is what you all think this is going to cost, whether that cost is to us or that cost is in general, and where else you guys would be able to find funding from. So, just if you could put a budget together on what first year would look like humbly, that'd be great, that I could take to ABP. And then the other part of my team that I want, well, there's two other parts of my team. The other part of my team I want to introduce is our entertainment corporate bank. So we're fortunate that the head of our international entertainment bank sits here in LA. I work very closely with his team, and we've been talking about this, something very similar to this for a while, in all kinds of iterations of it. So I would love to have this be the kind of careers for creatives element. And I would definitely want to talk about how we could have events here where maybe we can have 1-2 corporate panelists from front office of Hollywood and align their experience or, their presence to part of the curriculum, right? So maybe have them go up there and talk about licensing or I don't know, I mean, whatever. You all are the experts there, but you get the idea. Let them come in and kind of be that master class
Right.
teacher.
Well, one of the things I'm going to offer before Charlotte leaves is that the buy-in for whatever we decide to do with the 20 students is one to many. I would love to be able to have something boiled down that Charlotte could socialize to all the community colleges. So let's say that we have a panel or an event. It could be streamed live to all the classrooms that would allow this to become some part of their curriculum or some of their pathways.
Yeah.
And this is what I believe is the opportunity to reach classrooms, not just in Charlotte's region, but the whole, let's say, classroom environment of people who are looking for exposure to expansion of things that could, create all kinds of discussions about what we can do next.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
When you talk about expanding this, the way I saw this moving is you start with LA, we work out the kinks, do the pilot, and what I would like to do is present this to the chancellor's office statewide, right? So that we can increase accessibility throughout the state where there are so many other areas that are in that same situation. One of the Bay Area has a huge digital media following on campus, but yet they have nowhere to go. So they end up, reskilling and going into another area. If we could take this there, there's so many opportunities, but we need to have the pilot first and work out the kinks, show some ROI, right, and LMI, and then from there we can push this out. We can take this as far as you want to go, but we need to kick it off. And with that means we need to define what this curriculum is, what the outcome is for each of those, what the duration is. We've yet to talk about the timeline of how long the first group of students will be going through this. And that needs to be done rather quickly because we're already preparing for 2022 budgets. And if I'm going to try and pull funding, I need to have some data to back it up.
And this is definitely in the vein of crawl, walk, run, because this is not my first bite at the apple of trying to put together something for a regional or local to regional to statewide attempt to provide, something that could scale and make it available for everybody to try to figure out how to get on one sheet of paper, especially for the California community colleges, but also for the California State Universities. There's 23 campuses that we can connect through digital media, film, TV, and to some degree, ICT or information technology. So the California.
So that's my sector.
Yeah. So the
and I can't share my funds with anything other than community college students.
Right. But I think the alignment here is if we can crawl, walk, run, and find the buy-in from the people who are first adopters, if there's a chance to elevate to partners who could become part of the SMART pipeline, I want to be able to see that that's something that could allow us to have collateral, especially for those people who want to go to four-year university from the community colleges to get to the California State Universities or to some of the other institutions who offer that opportunity. But again, crawl, walk, run is what we are with this thing. Yeah.
Okay, with that said, I have to run.
Okay.
Thanks,
Charlotte. Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. And Dave, I know you've got to run also. Anything that you can kind of take us out with based on what you've heard and where we should be?
I'll just say, let's get really clear on next steps. Like we've talked about all sorts of great future focused kinds of things, but maybe it's updating this document, it's coming up with the syllabus, it's getting specific dates. I heard budget as well, but I think we should make a list. Maybe it's a follow-up, like one action item can be someone creates a list of the action items offline and then sends it as an email. But let's get those next step elements crystal clear. so that they can be acted on.
Agreed, Dave.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you. We will, I guess internally, we'll talk a little bit about what we heard. And then again, we'll schedule with you, Jordan, for our next opportunity to put something on the board.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Good one.
Thank you.
Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Good seeing you again, Dave.